Hey, welcome back to Platinum, episode 21, and we've got something special today. We've got something unique, something juicy. It's going to be great. We're going to look at the games that I have been playing personally since episode 1, way back 20 episodes ago, so that should be good. Remember, if you'd like your own list looked at, do leave it in the comments below, or join the Platinum Standard Discord for trophy hunters by trophy hunters. It's great stuff in there. There's you can do trophy journals, you can participate in the spooky ABC competition at the moment. There's a lot of fun stuff. I will see you there. Now let's jump into my list. Alrighty, and we're starting this from the bottom going up, which is a change of pace, but we are starting with Donut County, which is a relatively easy peasy. I think you could finish the game. I did in about 4 hours. I reckon you could probably finish it in maybe 2 hours. You're essentially just a hole that gets larger as you suck up different items in different maps and areas. It was pretty fun. It wasn't too bad. We then have Minecraft Set 2, which is the second list of DLCs for Minecraft on the PS4. I'm going to be honest with you. I just go in, I find a world that is available, and then I just auto pop everything that I possibly can. There's too many trophies at this point, and I'm probably going to jinx myself, but I reckon we're probably overdue for another DLC there. So I think I said that in the first episode, and like 3 days later we got DLC, so I'm going to do it again. Let's see if we end up with a Halloween update, and I've jinxed myself 2 episodes running. We then have Last of Us Part 2. I nearly made a video for this channel about The Last of Us 2. I was this close. The first game did nothing for me. I understood that people really enjoyed it. I didn't personally. I find Naughty Dog games and the mechanics and the gameplay very, very outdated. So for me, The Last of Us 1 just kind of was a game that existed. So The Last of Us 2, when it came out and it had all the drama and stuff in 2020 or whenever it came out, I didn't care. I really didn't. I only did this because I think it was free or something. I like parts of The Last of Us 2. And the parts that I like are the parts with Abby. I thought anything to do with Ellie was awful. Really badly done. But the stuff with Abby was good. And I think it wouldn't be that hard to make changes. I think if you played the whole thing through Abby and you were seeing the consequences of your actions from an unknown entity, I think it would have been a lot more interesting than just seeing an event from 2 different angles. Because one of those angles, the game is essentially just forcing you to do some pretty horrible stuff. And it didn't really work, in my opinion. I also thought the game was too long. I think there's like 49 chapters or something ridiculous. Obviously, you've got to play it twice for the 100%. And yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't play it again. I know The Last of Us 1 remastered, re-release, Redux, Deluxe, Superior Edition has now come out as well. I think it came out at the start of this month. I will probably do it at some point, but I'm in absolutely no rush. I then backed this up with Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which was another game that I really just didn't have much interest in. I've never been big on Marvel and superheroes and stuff like that. So for me, this was one that sort of just... I liked Spider-Man, so when this was then free on PS Plus, when that dropped, because that dropped around this time, as you can see, this is in mid-June, I was like, yeah, stuff it, I'll do this. This is about a 15-hour platinum. It's apparently pretty cruisy. It'll look pretty. It'll be good. I thought the characters were brilliant. I thought that was all very well done. But the combat was trash. The combat was hot garbage. To the point where I would get excited when I found a hub world because I got to explore it and see how beautiful the whole thing was and how well it was made. And I didn't have to fight anything. So... kind of just a bit of an average game for me. I wasn't massive on it, but it was okay. I would play it again probably. We then have The Artful Escape. Now I'm a big fan of Annapurna games. The Outer Wilds comes to mind. So The Artful Escape was okay. The thing about it is that you're just running right. The whole game is you just running right and occasionally doing some quick time events to play your guitar in front of a quote-unquote boss. It was It was fine. I didn't hate it. I didn't enjoy it. I sort of just got the trophies and left. The fact that it had Carl Weathers as one of the voice actors was really cool. That was sort of one of the big appeals for me. But otherwise, pretty forgettable. We then have Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart. Wow, I'm sounding very negative, but this is another one that did nothing for me. I love the older Ratchet and Clank's Up Your Arsenal is amazing. That is my personal favorite. I think that might have been the first one I played though, so bias is bias. I liked 2016's one. I thought that was pretty fun. This one was very, very pretty, but I don't remember anything about the story. I had weird crashes. I had a lot of weird issues that I still get to this day. So every time that I start my PS5 up, I get notifications that my saves are corrupted and I can't like send them to the cloud. And I can't get rid of that notification to save my life. I'm just cursed to forever have it at this point, which is very interesting. The trophies were all fairly cruisy. I remember there were some pretty interesting ones. There's one we had to like fly a dragon around and eat a bunch of stuff or shoot a bunch of stuff. There was one where you had to go backwards and forwards between time on a planet, which was really interesting. I kind of really liked that. The collectibles were all fairly cruisy. There was no crappy trophies like the dance one from 2016. So for those that don't remember, in 2016, there was one where you had to make every enemy in the game dance. And there was an enemy that you would only fight once right at the start of the game. So you had to essentially play the entire game again if you missed him, which was kind of rough. But otherwise, Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart, it's okay. It's probably, I don't know, a 6 or a 7 out of 10. I was fairly indifferent. I then went in and cleaned up Sniper Elite 4 with my good friend Bruce, and I loved it. I thought Sniper Elite 4 was amazing. I can't wait to play 5. I need to go back and clean up 3 as well, but 4 was very, very good. Once again, you play as Carl. Carl is just, the war would have been over very quickly had this man existed in real life. He single-handedly takes on entire armies. You have to do things like authentic difficulty, which essentially is where when you die, you got to restart the level. If you do play in co-op like we did, you can kind of cheese that because one person can just hang back, and when the other person dies, they've just got to quit out and rejoin the lobby. And so I essentially was just a bullet sponge for the entirety of Sniper Elite 4. It was essentially just point the meathead in a direction, see how many people he can kill before he's taken down, and then just have him join the game again. It was very effective. The DLC was a lot of fun. I will say, I think it was the last DLC we did. It had a trophy. So think of it like a open world of sorts. You've got a hub filled with maybe 300 soldiers. You had to kill every single soldier on the map except for 4 dudes that were all from the same family. The only way you could tell that they were from the same family was if you used your binoculars and read their names. You couldn't then just ping them, like you couldn't then track where they were. You sort of just had to keep an eye on them whilst all the chaos was going around. They could kill themselves. They could kill themselves with grenades. We learned that the hard way. They could blow themselves up. A tank could run them over. Cars could hit them. It was a whole thing. That was a bit of a nightmare that from memory took us a few attempts. But otherwise, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed Sniper Elite 4. And I can't wait to see what Sniper Elite 5 does. I'm just sort of waiting to see what the DLC is like in that, because Zombie Army 4 was brutal for DLC. We then have Last of June. This was a cheeky 100% with no platinum. This was an interesting game. It's got like a watercolor, like a blurred watercolor aesthetic to it. So I think watercolor painting. That hurt my eyes. I would have to play it for about 20 minutes before needing to put it down for about half an hour, which really shows you how small the game is, given that it took me just shy of 4 hours to actually finish. And it's essentially you're just playing through a bunch of stories to work out what happened for the last day of June. I won't spoil the story from there, but it was very emotional. It was very moving. I actually really, really enjoyed the story of it. One of my little goals that I've sort of set myself that you'll see later on this list is to do more 100% that just don't have a platinum. You'll see a few more of these as we get into the October spooky competition games. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed Last Day of June. We then have Shadow Warrior 3, which I did because PS Plus, it was leaving the PS Plus or something. It like PS Plus Extra and Premium and Deluxe and Super Duper editions all came out, and then this game immediately announced it was leaving it. So it was very much a case of get this done or you just won't, you'll have to buy it at some point. It was a first-person hack and slash shooter. Essentially, it was arena-based. You kind of traversed through environments and then fought waves of enemies in an area before progressing to the next arena. But it was very well done. The characters were very good. The story was very fun. The Trash Panda was hilarious. It was a really, really fun game. I think you only had to play for it once. There were some collectibles you had to do, but most of the trophies were just kind of combat based. Things like brutalizing certain types of enemies a certain number of times, all that sort of fun stuff. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very, very fun and pleasant game. I saw Shadow Warrior 2 and 1 are on sale currently, and I'm like this close to picking them up, but I've heard they are very different games to Shadow Warrior 3. I've heard they're sort of a bit more darker and gritty, sort of from the 2013 sort of period of time, so I'm not entirely sure if I'll go for that, but I definitely am considering. I think 2 might even be an ultra rare platinum, which is tempting. We then have Foreclosed, which was sort of an indie over-the-shoulder shooter that had a really cool concept. The reason I played this was entirely the concept. It's a futuristic sort of cyber city where the businesses you work for own your identity. So your whole identity, who you are, is essentially a product or an asset for businesses. The business you work for has foreclosed, believe it or not, and so your identity and everything is just for sale, and you're going on a mission to get that back, to redeem that and to have that for yourself. The shooting is very, very clunky. It was a very frustrating game to play, but the whole concept and the whole sort of story and everything behind it was really good, and I did enjoy it. I didn't regret playing that one at all. I was also part of 2 of my very good friends, Bruce Man and Clammy. Shout out to them. They're both fantastic streamers on Twitch. They ran a competition for PS Plus around this time. I think it ran from June to August. And essentially you earned points and climbed a leaderboard if you played games on the service. So I was doing a lot of games purely off the service at this point, as you can see from Shadow Warrior 3, Last Day of June, Foreclosed, Zombie Army, Last Stop. A lot of these were from that competition, and it was a blast. I tried a lot of things I normally wouldn't play. From Foreclosed, we then have Zombie Army 4 Dead War, which is actually a really cool one for me. I am the fastest 100% achiever. I beat the original first place by 6 minutes. Sucked in, Bruce. Very fun game. Very, very fun game. You and a team of up to 4 people fighting waves of zombies. There's some bosses mixed in. You go through a variety of different environments. There was zombie zoos. There was a train level. I believe there was a volcano at one point in the DLC. There is a lot of DLC to this game. I think there was like 20 DLC packs or something ridiculous, but it was a blast. 4 days and 7 hours. I'm kind of pretty proud about that one. We then have Last Stop, which was like a Telltale game, which is kind of funny given that my history with that sort of game is me on this series saying that I'm not a big fan of them, and I'm not. This was it was okay. It was okay. I'm trying to think of... I didn't hate this one. It was essentially a series of 3 different people living very different lives that were intertwining, and then there was aliens at the end. It was kind of random, but I was kind of into it. I thought this one was quite good. Quite a low platinum for a Telltale sort of game at 65%. Definitely not the kind of game I would normally play. Once again, I was playing it for that summer competition that I was mentioning just slightly earlier. It was fine. It was a 3 out of 5. You know, it was okay. We then have Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which was the first platinum video that I did on this channel. Go check it out if you are interested. It was a lot of fun to make. The first sort of big video I ever really made for myself, which was kind of fun. definitely the first video I've ever properly edited, and I think that is pretty evident by the video itself, but I enjoyed it. You can see it took me 6 months and 16 hours. I started the game back when I streamed on Twitch, and then I came back around 5 months later to clean it up. I did the platinum and a little bit of DLC. I need to go back and actually finish the DLC at some point. As you can see, 16 trophies left before that completion is mine. I probably will go back and do it at some point. I do want to. My goal for the rest of the year is to get up to at least 85% completion on my account by the end. So I probably will go back. This was a very fun one. Obviously, it's set in the bayou. It's you're fighting the Baker family. The trophies are very, very cruisy. I would say Madhouse can give you some trouble. There was a part in the mine that definitely gave me a lot of trouble personally. But it was fun. 5 out of 10, I would say, is fairly fair. I think I did. If you take away my Twitch playthrough, I would say it only took me 2 playthroughs, which was one for all the collectibles and miscellaneous trophies, and then one for the speedrun / Madhouse difficulty. I did those both in one go, and it wasn't too bad. I think you've got to beat it in sub 3 hours, and I think it took me just shy of 2 hours to beat the whole thing. So it's not too difficult. We're then getting the Hitman 3 Bald Man Simulator. You love to see it. It's got a lot of trophies, 75 of 84 that you can see there. I worked on that pretty much consistently through the year. I would essentially just do a map a day sort of thing, or every couple of days, I would say is probably more accurate. Very, very fun. Hitman 3. Hitman 3's DLC is Hitman 1 and 2 for the World of Assassination trilogy. This is the only one in the trilogy that has a platinum, so it's sort of the one to go for if you want a platinum for that series, while still doing Hitman 1 and 2, kind of a nice little way of bundling them all in. And I really enjoyed it. You see some really cool environments in this one. You go to places like Dubai, Singapore's quite a cool one in this. No Australia, but I can forgive it this time. Maybe in Hitman 4. We then get into my second platinum video for the channel in Stray. This was a fun game. It got hyped up to buggery before the game actually came out. It was heavily hyped, and I think if you didn't play as a cat, this game would not have been as popular as it was. I would say a lot of people would have enjoyed it, but it wouldn't have been as insanely popular as it ended up being, because you do play as a cat. It's a very, very short, as you said to me, 14 hours, and that's honestly including an additional playthrough that I did for the platinum video. So I would say it was probably closer to 7 hours without me going in doing footage and stuff to get those last few trophies. We then get into the Monster Hunter Worlds here with World and Iceborne. I love this game. This was a mainstay of my streaming, which I do want to get back and stream at some point. Just the current house I live in has very bad internet, but so that's a future thing to return to. But the games themselves are very, very fun. You've got a series of open worlds that you fight very large monsters in. You take contracts, you go out and beat them. There's a lot of weapons. There's a lot of taking materials from your kills to upgrade your gear. And the trophies are kind of rough in these games. There's trophies for getting crowns from your monsters, which essentially, when the monsters die, they have a chance of being a world record largest or smallest, in which case they then give you a gold crown. And that is very RNG, which means you can be fighting the same monster that may take upwards of 20 to 30 minutes to kill 100 times. And so I've got a lot of that sort of stuff to clean up. With Iceborne, I'm only maybe halfway through the story as well. So I'll return to these one day. I'll get these done. These are sort of slow burners that I'm just working through over about a year now. I think I started both of these around mid-November-ish from memory of last year. We then have Demon Souls, which I love Souls games. I have on older accounts on the PS3 and the 360, I've platinumed Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring. I love these games. I hate Demon Souls. I don't like this remaster at all. I find the areas kind of obnoxious. I find the enemies either too easy or too hard. I find the amount of souls that you earn per kill kind of ridiculous. Killing an enemy that takes quite a few swings to get 3 souls is painful. It's difficult. I wanted to make a video on this game. I have the video half made up to the part of the game I got to, which was, from memory, the Stormy region, the second area there, which is like a super narrow gauntlet where there's these ghosts that you have to kill, otherwise they keep spawning these infinite enemies that have laser beams of death, which is very difficult to dodge when you're on a narrow walkway over a pit. Yeah, so I just didn't like this Demon Souls. I'll go back and clean it up at some point. It's definitely not a hard platinum by any means, especially compared to some of the other games in the series like Dark Souls 2. But yeah, I'll go back, I'll clean this up at some point, but it is not this day. We then have the 2 kill zones here, so the servers were announced to be shutting down for Killzone. I'd gotten the platinum in Killzone Shadowfall back in 2020, I want to say. 2019 or 2020. I did the platinum, I did the base game multiplayer, knocked that out of the way. When the servers were announced to be shutting within 3 weeks, I went back and did the DLC. I've done everything but Elite difficulty in the single player campaign because that is still obtainable, being a single player trophy. The rest of it was kind of annoying. The co-op trophies were a bit of a pain. I did the bulk majority of it solo. I actually worked out a pretty cool method to get XP where you would go into the co-op mode with 2 consoles yourself, because I'm sad like that. One of your consoles would be a medic. One of your consoles would just be whatever you wanted. The medic would put down med packs, which earned you, I think it was 3 XP. That then increased as the game progressed and the multiplier increased. So they would put that down. Your other character would just pick this up over and over and over again, and you just have to occasionally watch out for some enemies being able to find you. It was, I think a match took me like 20 minutes, and you had to do 50 wins. It took a while, but I got them both done. I then went in and did the standalone DLC as well because Mama didn't raise a quitter. And yeah, smash them out. As you can see, this is fully unobtainable now. The servers are shut, and this one also has 25 unobtainable trophies. I have all of those, and at some point I'll go back and get the 100% completion for the base Killzone Shadowfall. We then have Kona, which burnt me hard. I was very excited about this game. It was essentially a detective mystery set in the frozen wilderness of Canada. Essentially, you're a detective who goes up to a small town, finds everyone missing, and must work out what happened. Cool concept. One of the trophies is to explore this area entirely on foot. You're not allowed to use the snow skis, you're not allowed to use the cars. You gotta walk. I got 9/10 of the way through the game and had a trophy glitch on me. So I had to do the entire thing again. As you can see, that's a lot of slow walking through snow, doing absolutely nothing else. Essentially all the trophies are just collectibles and finding stuff for the investigation. This took a while. I remember I was putting a video out or something. I normally release my videos at about 4 o'clock in the morning my time. That matches you guys in America and Europe a lot better, so that's when I usually schedule them for upload. I remember doing Kona and having a video coming up on a Sunday, I think it was. And so I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna keep playing until I beat this. The video came out at 4 AM before I got the platinum. That was rough. Don't recommend. We then have Tropico 5, which I love city builders. I've talked about City Skylines extensively. I enjoy Tropico 5. It sort of takes a bit of a light-hearted sort of approach to city builders. The UI is not designed for consoles at all. It's definitely difficult to navigate. I should just go back and clean this up because I only have 28 and 71 trophies, but I've got hard stuff. I've just got to go in and do like sandbox mode and stuff. So that would only really probably take me a few days. I think half of the remaining trophies I've left is DLC. I don't own the DLC, so I've got to wait for a season pass at some point. But it's It's a fun game. It's got a campaign. The campaign is just, hey, build some stuff to suit this scenario that's going to approach in X number of days. But otherwise, it's not difficult. And as you can see here, it's a juicy ultra rare trophy to 2.13%. I should just go back and do it. I really should. We then have Graveyard Keeper, which if you love Stardew Valley, you will adore Graveyard Keeper. It's the same premise. You are a graveyard keeper, believe it or not. So you've got a graveyard, you've got a bunch of, you can make gardens and stuff, you can make orchards, you look after an inn in one of the DLCs. The story and the characters are very, very quirky. There's a lot of different quest lines that all interloop with one another. You can open up different areas. There's a dungeon to go delving in. It's Stardew Valley, essentially, just a lot quicker. I put this game down. Why did I put this game down? I really enjoy this game. This is one of the most enjoyable games I've actually played this year. I only really put this down just because I was spending all my time on it, and I think I needed to... I think if I scroll up... No, there's... I was going to say it was because I needed to work on a video and get a game out for a video out for a game, but that's not the case. There's not one anywhere near it, so maybe I was just lazy. I should definitely go back and get the 100% in Graveyard Keeper, because this game is, oh, chef's kiss. One of the this gets the Simi seal of approval, which is the highest award that a game can be given on YouTube. You heard it here first. We then have Witchwood, which, what? How would I describe Witchwood? You play as a witch. You pick up ingredients to make potions and traps and stuff like that to solve puzzles. Now, that's the entire game. That's the whole thing. You do literally nothing else. You explore environments, you pick up ingredients, you make things to solve things. And it's, 10 hours. I would say it's pretty accurate. The trophies just do their own thing. The trophies are kind of insane. They pick whenever they want to pop. A lot of people talk about the trophies won't pop until like a literal, in real life, 24 hours have passed. I had that. As you can see, 1 day and 6 hours. I only played the game for a day. So I had trophies pop 24 hours after I theoretically earned them, which was interesting. And yeah, I really can't recommend Witchwood, which is a shame because I was really excited for this. It had a really cool sort of art style. It looked like a pop-out book, which was really, really cool in my opinion. And I do like trying indie games I normally wouldn't, especially if they're on PS Plus and they're free. So I jumped into this one, and I don't regret playing it. I don't regret experiencing it, but I wouldn't do it again. We then have Deliver Us the Moon, which is another absolute weird one. I've never seen anyone else talk about this. It's a good game, for one. You're an astronaut who goes to the moon to a colony to work out what happened to that colony. You go in and you investigate sort of the stuff, the collectibles, essentially all the trophies. You're just collecting logs and stuff like that and beating chapters. Again, this is another game where the trophies just do their own thing. They'll pop out of order. They'll pop in random places. Bit frustrating. I had a collectible one I was really worried about because it just wouldn't pop. Just pop in the credits, for example. I remember that specifically. But this game broke for me. You would have things like everything would just kind of fall through the world, blue screen errors, all that sort of weird stuff. I've never seen anyone really talk about that with Deliver Us the Moon. I had to uninstall and reinstall the game twice to earn the platinum, which that is a lot of uninstalling, reinstalling. So I would say this game is worth playing. I would say a lot of the issues seem to be fairly unique to just me, but do be aware that they do exist. We then have Apex Legends, which I actually got all but one trophy 2 months beforehand. I got all but one trophy in sort of the first week of playing the PS5 stack. I adore Apex. This is my go-to battle royale. It's the only one, in my opinion, that's really worth your time. It's a lot of fun, but it had a glitch trophy for at least 2 months and 3 weeks, believe it or not, where the trophy for picking up a gold weapon that has all of the attachments just wouldn't pop. And I think it was exclusive to the season that it was in, simply because weapons that were applicable for it weren't gold weapons for that season or something like that. And so it took the mid-season update and them revamping things and adding King's Canyon into the rotation, which is the original launch map, before that trophy was obtainable. The day that I found out it was obtainable, I loaded in, I got the gold weapon, I was a solo in trios, and I went on to win it. It's the last time I've played Apex, but it was kind of a good hurrah. It was kind of a cool moment to go into a match, wanting just the trophy, then deciding to dick around until the end of the match, and then kind of accidentally winning as a solo in trios. I'm proud of that moment. I really enjoyed that. We then get Aliens Fireteam Elite, 9 out of 10 difficulty, 100 hours. Yeah, it lives up to that. It's very, very difficult. Me and my team of, once again, my good friend Bruce, do check him out on Twitch, and Peter from Missing Collectibles, another fantastic YouTube channel on YouTube. Go check them out as well. I've been slowly playing through Fireteam with them. We've essentially just got the hardest difficulty left, or the two hardest difficulties left, rather, and they're tough. They're very, very difficult. The fact that my version of the game is the PS4 version definitely doesn't help. This is a very difficult game to just play in general. So it's a slow burn one for us, but it's an enjoyable one. I really enjoy it. It's essentially a Left 4 Dead clone, but from the Alien universe. You've got xenomorphs instead of zombies, which is a really cool take on it. I highly recommend it. Just be aware that it is very difficult. I would say maybe not the 9 out of 10 that they're giving it there, maybe like a 7 out of 10. I definitely know that if you do your research, you optimize your build, and you really sort of work out where enemy spawns are and stuff like that, you can probably get through a lot better than us. My team is just hampered by my existence. We then have Resident Evil 5 here. I did the platinum for this in 2021. I came back with a couple of good friends of mine and smashed out the 4-player DLC. So essentially the 4-player, I think it's a versus mode or something. You got to get like 25 wins in a bunch of different matches and stuff for that. It was boring as all. Yeah, it was boring. I remember doing it on a Sunday afternoon, just while I had another monitor up and I was watching the footy or the rugby, and it stopped me going to sleep, so I guess that's a win. We then have Wolfenstein Youngblood, which again I played with Peter from Missing Collectibles, my good friend, which definitely made this game a lot more enjoyable than it had any right to be. I have 20 trophies left. These are all entirely just grind. These are all weapon kills and stuff like that that'll all take a couple of hours each. And I will slowly make my way through this, but no promises at all. It's not particularly great, especially compared to Old Blood and the New Order. I haven't played New Colossus. I should play New Colossus at some point, but otherwise, Wolfenstein Youngblood, fairly forgettable, which is why I forgot it for the last 2 months. We then have Assassin's Creed Valhalla. All I've done in this is I loaded a backup and I did the first Tombs of the Fallen DLC, uninstalled the game, and then they released another DLC, which is how it works with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That is essentially my relationship with that game. I like Valhalla. I think it's I would say Valhalla is the perfect example of like a 5 out of 10. It does a lot of things right, but it does a lot of things wrong, and you will come out of it probably exhausted, but like, oh yeah, it was okay. Whereas something like Unity or Origins or 2 Brotherhood Revelations, you come out of it and you go, yeah, that was worth my time. And I think that's the big difference between them. I have a couple DLC to do in this. I have the combat challenges to do. I have the Ragnarok DLC to do, which is ridiculously priced in Australia. That DLC alone is worth $40. Now, bear in mind that I bought, when this game came out, the super duper ultra deluxe edition that was supposed to come with all the DLC. So I'm not paying $40 for some crappy 12-hour DLC experience. I'm waiting for that to be a $5 on sale at some point. But I think my plan with Valhalla moving forward is I'm just going to not play the game again until they release all the DLC and announce publicly that all the DLC is done. I think at that point it'll be safe to return to, but for now, I'm just going to leave it as is. Next up, we have Journey to the Savage Planet, which is a semi-open world exploration game where you are on a savage and hostile and unknown planet. You must explore it to uncover relics and uncover sort of a story of events that have occurred on the planet. You can play with another person, which is how I played it personally. This game is a blast. It progresses very well. You start without very much. You gather different resources from different sort of ore veins and stuff like that, and you upgrade your powers, and the game always felt fresh. It's very, very short. As you can see, I'm very close to the platinum. Essentially, what stops me from the platinum is I was the guest player, so I played this with Bruce, and I didn't unlock some of the trophies. Some of the trophies are host only, which really sucks. Yeah, that kind of sucked. So I have to play essentially an entire playthrough by myself to unlock a couple of those trophies. And then once that is done, we also have the DLC, which is sort of a New Game Plus. I think they call it New Game Minus because the game has quite a funny sense of humor. And it's very quirky, it's very colorful. This is one that I would highly recommend to people. Definitely a gem that I discovered this year. I believe it is free on PS Plus. I think that is why we played it. I can't remember, to be perfectly honest with you, but I think that is the case. We then move on to Prey, which was actually my 150th platinum. Shout out to Beautiful Torment for making me do this one at 150. I loved it. I thought this was great. It's made by the guys that made Dishonored, so it feels very similar to Dishonored. You're essentially on a space station that has been invaded by aliens that can mimic various different objects in the environment. So you might be attacked by a teacup 1 second, for example. And the trophies were kind of a lot of fun. You have to do 2 playthroughs. One playthrough, you have to not kill anyone. The other playthrough, you have to kill everyone, which you have to be the one to kill everyone was the hard part. So there was a few areas of the game that were brutal because they had enemies that could kill people. People would walk through fire, so you had to be faster than their essentially spawn cycle, which was very difficult. But otherwise, it was a very fun game. I still have the DLC left to do. The DLC is a roguelike. I'm sure you all know exactly my thoughts on what roguelikes are like. So I haven't done the remaining 10 trophies. I will at some point. I don't think it's going to take very long. I just have other things that I want to play as well. But Prey was very, very fun. I really, really enjoyed Prey. I think it is heavily underrated. It's sort of, I remember this game came out and then sort of just vanished. And I think that's a real shame because it is genuinely a top tier game. Highly, highly recommend that one. My Name is Mayo's 2 is up next. I know, shameful grubby platinum right there. It hurts my soul, but I did My Name is Mayo 2 for the video where I had to guess my platinum trophies. I had to earn some trophies in the game, so I went back and cleaned it up. Hence why it took me a day and 7 hours to actually do the game. In reality is about 40 minutes, but I did various trophies in it over the course of the video that is on the channel for guessing my platinums, and that was a very fun video to do. I should make more of those. But the spin was, as punishment, I had to platinum My Name is Mayo 2, so there it is. Maybe I'll do a sequel for My Name is Mayo 3, who knows? We've then got Assassin's Creed Brotherhood here, this being the second game in the Ezio trilogy, and one of my top 3 Assassin's Creeds. I adore Brotherhood. I adored it when it came out. I adore it now. I actually remember getting like the $300 version of this game for the price of the normal version because the box was damaged. So I went into an EB Games with my grandmother, I believe, and they didn't have any just regular versions of the game. So I got the super duper boxed version, and the boxes is here somewhere. It'd be packed away because I moved about a month ago. A month to the day, I think, but or the day of recording. And yeah, it was a very fun game. The trophies in this game are kind of brutal. I really don't like the way that the 100% sync works in this game. Essentially, there's no checkpoints, And some of the missions like Storm the Castello that you have to do without ever being detected are brutal because they take like 20 minutes. The tank mission is infamous, of course, although you can somewhat cheese that one by just going slightly out of bounds and the other tanks won't attack you. The mission that gave me the most trouble personally was the one where you're in the bomber in the sky and you got to skydive down. I think you've got to do the whole mission without being detected or hit. And that one was brutal for me. I think I spent a couple hours on that alone. You can see it took me 3 weeks and a day. I think in reality it took me about 3 days to play this game. I loaded it up 3 weeks prior to when I intended to play it and popped a trophy in the first 2 seconds because I forgot that there's one that you receive pretty much immediately just as like in the opening cutscene. So yeah, I would recommend Assassin's Creed Brotherhood to everyone. I really want to play Revelation some point very, very soon. So maybe I'll do that in the next month or two. I am working on the spooky comp, but once that is over, maybe I'll do Revelations. Who knows? We then have Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. This is a glitch. This doesn't exist. This is tied to be my worst game of the year so far with Horizon Forbidden West, which has DLC now, so I get to go back to that one day. Yay. Lego, it's not much to say. I was about 3 hours away from the platinum the last time you saw this on my profile. I finally got back to knocking it off. In reality, I wanted the 60 gigabytes of hard drive space that this had, so I loaded it up one afternoon, grabbed some beers and knocked it out. It was painful. I didn't talk about it when I was finished. I don't want to talk about it now. This game is a massive disappointment, so I'm going to move on to a positive experience, which is Predator Hunting Grounds. As you can see, juicy 1.98% platinum trophy. I love Predator Hunting Grounds. Essentially, it's 2 teams. One team is Marines, there's 4 of them, versus a Predator, and the Marines have to do various different objectives whilst fighting AI. And the Predator has to kill everyone. Basic concept, very fun. I will say what soured this game for me. I originally was going to do a video on this game. The issue was it kind of, when I wrote it up, I became aware that there wasn't really much to talk about, unfortunately. But I had trophies glitch on me quite a bit. The trophy to get to level 100, for example, didn't pop until about level 126. There was a couple for playing various different quick play matches and amounts of that. Those didn't pop till a very long time afterwards. But the game itself was a lot of fun, and I would definitely say, even though I had to play it longer than I thought I would have to, I still really enjoyed it. We then have Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands. It's a D rank. It hurts my soul. I played this twice with Bruce. At some point we'll return to it. It's just kind of very low on the totem pole of priorities, but it is a very, very fun game, and I definitely do enjoy it quite a bit. We then have Black Ops Cold War, which I did a video on that people really like, which is amazing to see. I'm glad that people enjoyed that video because I definitely really enjoyed making it and do plan on doing more like it. Hopefully one out this weekend. But Cold War, it took me 1 year and 10 months. It's purely because of the Dead Ops arcade. I finally went back and knocked that out. When the game launched, you had to do it in a top-down mode where one hit and you were dead. It took like 5 hours. It was miserable. You essentially needed like 2 to 4 people to beat it. Whereas now you can do it in first person. There's a checkpoint mode. So you sort of, every time you get to a new area, you can then just start the game from that area and proceed that way, which made that so much more enjoyable. It still took 4 or 5 hours. I just didn't have to do it in one sitting, which was very nice, because sitting down for 5 hours and playing a game is painful. But yeah, knocked that out. 1 year, 10 months for a 2.39% platinum. You love to see it. And we move into one that I don't love to see here. Dying Light 2, 54 of 58 trophies. I went back. I bought this game on launch. I streamed this game on launch. I love this game on launch. I've gone back to it to clean up some stuff. I wanted to clean up some bits and bobs, so I did. The windmill trophy is still glitched on me. I have now done 28 windmills, I think I worked it out to be. You're supposed to do 17 for the trophy. It didn't pop, sadly. So if you have any theories on how to pop that trophy, let me know. I found out that any of the statistic trophies, such as the running 960 miles, they must reset with every update or something, because I was at like 300,000 and then we got an update and I was at 0. So I've slowly been AFKing my console for that one. I think I did a short about it, rubber banding my controller at the time. But yeah, I've put the game down for now for that very reason. It's a very big commitment to get those last 3 trophies before the platinum, purely because one of them just flat out won't pop. We then have... So I went from a game not popping to a game finally popping. If you've been a fan of the channel for a while, you will know that Kena Bridges Spirits had a chest glitch on me 5 months and 4 weeks ago, to be exact. And I really enjoyed the game. It's like Pixar meets Dark Souls, which is a really interesting but cool concept. I'd done all the hard stuff. I'd done the hard difficulty. I had done pretty much every collectible in the game. I'd done all the combat-based trophies, but this one chest wouldn't open for me, so I couldn't get that trophy or the platinum. Well, we had an update at the end of September that finally opened that chest for me, and I was finally able to smash out the remaining trophy, which was, chef's kiss. I was able to finally knock Kena Bridges Spirits off of my list, which was just an amazing thing to do. We then have Hell Let Loose, 30%. This is a slow burn platinum for me, one that I am very slowly working through, but one that I really, really enjoy. This is a realistic simulator of World War II. One bullet and you're dead. There's no scopes on rifles and all that sort of stuff. It's just you and your iron sight. You're supposed to work with a squad, which, if you're an Australian and you have your voice chat on, or you can hear everyone else in a lobby, hearing 50 Australians try and do teamwork is just the funniest thing you'll ever hear. A lot of swearing, lot of swearing. You can tell that we're all descended from convicts, but the game itself, fantastic. I'm having a blast, but it is a very slow burner. There's a lot of trophies that require quite a lot of grinding, so I just pop on every few days, do a match, get some stuff done, earn a bit of progression. It feels good, and then I stop again. Yeah, very good game, and I adore it, to be perfectly honest with you. It's absolutely a symmetry kind of game. We then have Little Nightmares. I obviously did this for the video that came out a couple of weeks ago. I had a blast doing this. I had streamed the game initially on Twitch around a year ago. I think I did it for Halloween. And then I came back this year and I did the speed run. You've got to beat the game in 1 hour with no deaths. And if you are interested in seeing that, do check out the video on the channel. It was a blast to make and a very interesting experience. I've then got Call of Duty Modern Warfare. As you can see, 2 years and 3 months. That is because I went back and cleaned up the 1 DLC trophy. It really wasn't difficult at all. I think it took about 4 hours to do the 4 maps. 3 of those maps took maybe an hour. And then the last one, we just had a lot of issues with crashing and people disconnecting and stuff like that. But it's nice to have that one finally done. The DLC obviously being Spec Ops, so you're fighting waves of enemies to beat different scenarios. Nothing special, but we did smash it out, and it is nice to have that one off the list. As you can see, 7.7% platinum for a 1.67% completion overall is a really nice one to see done. We've then got Back for Blood here. I played this like one day. I plan on getting this platinum probably just with bots. I've heard the bots are fairly competent teammates, which is nice. I do enjoy the game. I was a massive fan of Left 4 Dead as a wee young lad in 2007. So Back 4 Blood is quite a lot of fun. You're just fighting waves of zombies. I'm going with the melee build, but I don't understand the card system very much so far, and I've been busy focusing on games that I plan to make videos on and stuff like that. So this is sort of semi on the back burner. I might even play a bit of it tonight, in all honesty. I do really enjoy the game, and I am looking forward to having that 100% hopefully in the next month or two. We then have Nerved, which is a crap game. This is bad. Don't play Nerved. It looked like on the store, it was about $2 Australian, and it looked on the store to be sort of an Exorcist style of game, which was a really cool concept. This was just an asset flip. You explored a map that looked like it was from Slender Man in 2011. You picked up some items, you got some trophies. I was really disappointed by this one. As you can see, I smashed it out in like a day, and then I put it down and ran for my life. We then have Visage, which is a game that I definitely hope to have a video on the channel in the next couple of weeks. I'll probably be recording the audio for the script of that tonight. I loved Visage. You are in a haunted house, you are solving puzzles, you're avoiding enemies, and you're trying to work out what happened to 3 previous inhabitants of the house, or technically 4 inhabitants of the house. The trophies are pretty much entirely collectibles, but it was creepy. I did have some issues with Visage. I would say it was about a 7 out of 10 for me. And I love horror games. I love horror as a genre. I love movies. I love games. As you can see by this burst of horror games right here. But sometimes its puzzles were a little too vague and you just kind of had to brute force them. Sometimes the enemies sucked. The prison tape in particular was awful. Essentially, think of it like there was 2 pluses next to one another with 1 light bulb in the center, and you had to break all the walls at the ends of the lines of the plus, all while an enemy was in the pitch black that could one-shot kill you as well. It was very frustrating, but the game overall was very, very fun. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. If you liked the demo for PT back in the day, the Silent Hills PT, then you would definitely like Visage. Highly recommend. We then have Killing Floor 2. As you can see, 91% complete. Doing this for the spooky competition in the Platinum Standard Discord. Link is in the description. It's very fun. It's a wave-based game. You're fighting different monsters on waves. All I have left is to get to level 25. I'm literally just waiting for a double XP and I'll hop on for like a day and do that. But otherwise, very, very fun game, lots of DLC. In fact, in the time that I've been working on this game, they released a new DLC. I would say of the 63 trophies, 40 of them probably are DLC at this point, which is kind of crazy. The game's been out 7 years and is still being supported, which is incredible, but also terrifying. But yeah, very, very fun game. One that I definitely recommend. And I've been enjoying it. We then have Among the Sleep, which was a quick sort of indie game where you play as a toddler that has to go through a couple creepy worlds to do something. I don't quite remember. I don't quite understand the story of this. You've got a teddy bear. Your mum is an alcoholic. That's it. All I really learned is that my mum liked to drink. That was sort of the key to get out of the game, really. We then have Inside, which is another spooky side scroller. If you've played Limbo, this is made by the same devs and is very, very similar to Limbo, minus the beat the game in 5 deaths or less trophy. You can do this a lot faster than I did. I sort of just took my time with it. Very, very fun. I enjoyed this quite a bit. The ending was insane. I still have no clue what was going on, but I enjoyed every second of it. We then move on to another 100%, 3 in a row. This is incredible, and this platinum is all, this 100% is all but mine as well. All that I have left in Party Hard is to open and close the game 100 times. That's right, fully close the game, go to your dashboard, load it back up 100 times. That's a trophy in this game. I adore Party Hard. That trophy sucks. Party Hard is essentially, you have a series of maps. I think there's about 12 of them that have anywhere up to about 80 people on them, and you must kill everyone on the map without being caught by the cops. You have different traps you can do. You've got different disguises you can use. You can hide bodies. It's very, very fun. The soundtrack in Party Hard is an absolute banger. But yeah, I adore this game, and 5 hours is probably accurate. I just don't have the patience to sit there and open and close the game 100 times in one sitting, so I just do 10 a day is my goal. We then have Call of Duty Ghosts, which is the current Call of Duty that I'm working on. I have one mission left in the campaign to do, and then it's just Extraction, all the DLC for Extraction and the base game Extraction. Myself and Bruce have had really bad luck when it comes to getting randoms to play the base game with. We'll have people get all the way to the end with us and then just stop playing and stuff like that. It's painful. You've got to beat it with 4 people. You've got to beat it having done all of the optional objectives, or the challenges, I think they're called. The mode is kind of fun. It's not like zombies. Essentially, you have to progress through a map destroying nests while aliens attack you, which is unique to this game and like one DLC from Infinite Warfare. But I enjoy Ghosts. I think it's a shame with the plot that we'll never get a sequel, because it does end on quite a big cliffhanger. But otherwise, very fun game. I would rate it highly, and I might check out that gaming session after this video, because that was not there this morning when I had a look. So I might go and have a look at that. We then have Tormented Souls, which I may or may not be slowly working my way through for a video that I want out in the next week or two. I'm adoring this game so much. This is a classic Resident Evil. Essentially, you are in a mansion that was turned into a hospital at some point. You've got to uncover clues. There's tank controls if you should want them for some reason. Very, very fun game, and I'm loving it. Tormented Souls might be one of the most enjoyable things I've played this year. Now, I've only played about 3 hours. The trophies are a bit brutal. You've got to do things like beat the game in less than 3 hours. So obviously I'll need to do another playthrough for that. Beat the game without saving. I've saved a few times, because when you die, there's no auto saves. You just go back to the last time you saved. So it's pretty brutal to go back quite a number of, 40 minutes of progress, which has happened to me. There's another trophy for beating the game without being hit. That's another one that I'll have to do another playthrough for. I don't think I'll combine those 3 for one playthrough. I think that'd be probably a bit much. But so I think by the time I'm done, there'll be 3 playthroughs, give or take. But I am really enjoying the game, and as you can see, I do have a third of the trophies, which is kind of really nice. And the last game I have on my list here is because my wonderful mod in the Discord and my good friend Dragon Dance forced me to do Burnout Paradise with him. Very, very fun game, classic. It's a remaster of the game that came out in like 2007. You drive around, you do various races and stuff, you break into things. It's a racing game. There's millions of DLC. There's a DLC that requires 8 people, so I'll be organizing a boost for that in the near future. So if you made it this far in the video and you want to do the bike trophy in Burnout that requires 8 people, do let me know in the comments, or join the Discord and join the boost that I'll have set up for that. It should be good. I'll probably check this boost out here too at some point as well. But yeah, that's what I've been working on since the last video. That's about 4 months worth of trophy hunting, and that's a lot of games in those 4 months. I've definitely outdone myself in the platinum department. But what I didn't do the last time we did this video is we didn't look at my stats. Let's go in there and have a look. Let's go have a cheeky gaze at my statistics here. So as you can see, I've played 226 games overall. My average rarity is 41%. I would say personally that anything under 50% is really impressive. So I'm doing okay, but I'm definitely not as impressive as people like Vigilant Crow, who have sub 30% average rarities. We then have, I'm narrowing in on 10,000 trophies here. My average completion overall is about 85%, although my account overall is 82.5%. So PSMP, please bump me up to that 85. I'll love you 5 ever. My average rarity that you can't see because it's off the screen is an S. You can then see I'm fairly... Over the years, this pattern has been fairly consistent. I get to around September, have exams at uni, and stop playing games during that time period. That happened each year, essentially, until I finished. I haven't had exams this year because I graduated last year. So it's been a little bit more consistent, although September this year did drop to only 103 trophies for the month. You can see my trophies by time. I earn a lot of trophies, except when I'm asleep, which is around 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. So I've never... Have I even earned... So I've earned 29 trophies at 2 a.m. and 13 trophies at 7 a.m. And I've not earned anything ever between that time. I should break that. I should deliberately... I want to do it, but I don't, because I love my beauty sleep. And I mean, look at me, I need that beauty sleep. But I kind of want to like wake up at 5 a.m. and earn 1 trophy. I kind of want to get a stat on the board now. That's now a goal for me. Finish the year with a trophy in each of these. So 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and 6 a.m. I've got to get that done now. But if you enjoyed the video, I'm going to finish it now because I need a drink. I've been talking nonstop for like 40 minutes. That's terrifying. If you would like your own account looked at, do let me know in the comments or join the Discord. We are trying to grow the Discord even more. It's going to be a mega hub for trophy hunters and all that sort of stuff. I'm calling it now. Be one of the first there. I think we're at 170 people in the Discord now, which is crazy. Do let me know what you thought of the games that I've been working on in the time since the last video. I've had a blast with trophy hunting, so do give me some recommendations of games I should play. I need to try and get some games that came out this year done so I can do a Game of the Years video. I want to do Sifu, Tunic, Weird West maybe. Proteus, I think it's called. There's a few games that I need to do. Modern Warfare, Plague Tale Requiem. There's quite a few games I need to try and knock out by the end of the year, so I will be focusing on some of those. But do give me some recommendations. Let me know what your favorite soft drink is in the comments, and I will see you next week. I miss you already. Goodbye, hugs and kisses, farewell.